You know the drill, right? If you're a fan of Japanese RPGs, your epic quest isn't really over until you fight, and probably kill, a literal god. It's a classic move. But have you ever stopped to think, why? Why is this a thing?
I mean, it happens so often, it's practically a meme at this point. So is it just an easy way to make the final boss feel super epic, or is there something way deeper going on with this obsession?
Well, here's the big idea, the core of this whole explainer. It's almost never really about religion. When you see those heroes raise their swords against God, what they're actually fighting is the system. They're trying to smash the fundamental rules that run their world.
And look, this isn't some new trend. This trope has a long, rich history. For decades, creators have been using these divine showdowns to explore some really challenging ideas about power, freedom, and even reality itself.
Okay, so before we go any further, we have to get on the same page about one key thing. When we say God from here on out, we're not talking about any real-world deity, not at all. Think of it as a metaphor for a higher-order system, kind of like the operating system for a whole society. It's the set of rules that justifies why the world is the way it is. So that brings us to our main framework for this whole thing, the God as system hypothesis. The key here is to stop seeing these final bosses as just characters and start seeing them as what they really are, the living embodiment of a complex, often invisible system that's controlling everything.
And what's really useful is that we can break these god systems down into four main types. First, you've got the ideology god. That's a belief system designed to justify who's in control. Then there's the resource god, a source of power that, ironically, just fuels more conflict. You also have the ruling god, a more distant force that just manages fate. And finally, the system god, which is less a person and more of a cold machine-like order that the heroes just need to escape.
All right, so that's the theory. Now let's put it into practice. To really get how these god systems work, we got to dissect a few case studies from some classic games.
First up, the ideology god. A perfect case study is Triangle Strategy. In this game, one nation controls the world's only supply of salt. So how do they justify their monopoly? They invent a religion around the salt goddess, claiming the salt is a divine gift that only they can properly manage. The god here isn't real. It's a piece of fiction, a story crafted to maintain total economic and political control.
And the game just drives this point home with an absolutely brilliant review. Near the end, you find out the Pope, the supposed connection to the divine, is literally a puppet, just a stage prop controlled by the ruling council. The entire system of power is built on a hollow, manufactured illusion.
So you see, the revolution in the game isn't against a deity. It's a rebellion against information control. Killing the god is really just about exposing the lie, shattering the excuse for oppression, and setting the truth free for everyone.
Okay, next up, the resource god. In the world of Brigandine, there's a magical energy called mana, and it's seen as this amazing divine gift. But as this quote makes pretty clear, that gift has a very dark side. It's also a curse. So here's the twist. The god in Brigandine created a system where having an abundance of energy doesn't bring peace and prosperity. It fuels an endless arms race. Because every nation can tap into mana to make stronger knights and summon bigger monsters, they all just get more aggressive. The divine gift itself is the reason for perpetual war. The only path to real peace is for the heroes to destroy the source, to kill the god providing the resource.
Now, Neon Genesis Evangelion offers a really fascinating spin on this. The god system here is the Human Instrumentality Project, a plan to end all human suffering by merging every single soul into one giant consciousness. So the final conflict isn't about killing a god. It's a profound choice. Do you agree to dissolve into this perfect, painless whole, or do you reject the system and choose to keep your own flawed, painful individual self?
This whole idea of challenging the very rules that give your world meaning, well, it isn't just in games. It's a massive theme in modern philosophy. And that means we have to talk about Friedrich Nietzsche.
This is, without a doubt, one of the most famous and most misunderstood quotes in all of philosophy. But when you look at it through the God as system framework we've been using, its connection to all these JRPG battles becomes incredibly clear.
See, Nietzsche wasn't gleefully shouting about the death of a religious figure. He was making a cultural diagnosis. He was looking at Western civilization and saying, hey, you know that single overarching God system of values and morality that's been our foundation for centuries? It's losing its power. It's collapsing.
And just like in these games, killing the God system comes with some serious consequences. First, you get freedom from all the old, rigid rules.
But that freedom immediately leads to a crisis, a total void of meaning, what's known as nihilism. And that presents the ultimate challenge. Can you become strong enough to create your own new values and build a new world from the ashes of the old one?
So why does any of this matter to us? Because this isn't just a video game plot. In a lot of ways, we are all living in the world that comes after the death of God that Nishi was talking about.
Tearing down those old, overarching systems gave us an incredible amount of freedom to progress and innovate. But for all of their flaws, those old systems also acted as guardrails. They were external brakes on our ambition, and without them, progress itself can feel like a runaway train with no one at the controls.
And this really gets to the core logic of our modern world. First, knowledge just expands uncontrollably. Second, those external brakes, tradition, God, they're gone. Third, competition, whether it's tech races or arms races, just accelerates without any limits. And finally, once you invent something like nuclear weapons, you can't uninvent it. We are locked in a no-return game, a game with no reset button.
So ultimately, it all boils down to this. Just like the heroes in these epic stories, we have, in a way, already killed our gods. We've torn down the ancient systems. And the fundamental question they all face at the end of their journey is the exact same one we face right now. What comes next? What new systems and what new values are we building to take their place?